Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to today's webinar. As you can see, we have Yvonne with us from Jupiter Group. I just want to give a bit of an introduction to Jupiter and Yvonne, and then I'll pass over to Yvonne to do a job herself. So, yeah, we're really fortunate to have the Jupiter Group, who's one of the leaders in the global fresh produce market. They've been ranked for 3 consecutive years in the renowned Sunday Times International Track 200 list, being ranked as one of the leading mid-market private businesses in the UK, with fast international growing sales. Jupiter grows and supplies the traditional varieties of grape, citrus, and alongside other kind of fruit as well. This year, they were made the 39th on the list of the top 50 fresh produce businesses in the UK. And one of the key things is transparency. Is focusing on everything they do. And the Jupiter mission is simple: it's to be the most transparent brand in the producer group for the growers and consumers globally. We've been fortunate enough to be working with Jupiter Group for the last few years, and I'm really fortunate to have Yvonne with us today. Yvonne, great to have you. How's everything going?
Good, thanks, Giles. That was a really nice introduction, and we're quite humble in comparison to the introduction you've given us. So thank you for that. I appreciate it. So good, yeah. We've like all businesses had to adapt over the last year. But actually, you know, we've come out of that sort of lean, mean and pretty keen for the future. We're always sort of quite passionate at Jupiter in terms of what we do, slightly crazy, but, you know, we kind of take that on the chin. We've had our doubters, but I'm sure people are looking and perhaps seeing that maybe we probably are going somewhere in the future. So, yeah, we're pretty good. The team's good, and all of our regions globally are working well, and we're just really fortunate to have good people across the world. That's been a kind of a really reassuring thing for us this year.
Awesome. And Yvonne, if you could kind of tell me a bit about your role. So as co-MD, how do you split responsibilities? How do you kind of manage the team between you and Mark?
Being married,
yeah.
So there's a boss at work and a boss at home, but I won't go into which way round that is. No, I'm only teasing. So Mark and I both actually studied the same degree at Harper Adams. So what's quite interesting is we approach it both from different skill sets.
Yeah.
So actually, Mark looks after the commercial side of the business. He's very much about the outward facing. He's involved in, you know, the commercial production, which varieties we're looking at, what we're doing when. And then I'm, if you like, the behind the scenes staff. Yeah. So I get told off for saying I tidy up. I don't tidy up. I sort of lead us in terms of, if you like, our services to the business. So I'm very driven on our marketing in terms of our systems, in terms of what we use for technology across the group. So some of those things overlap into the commercial area. So we work really hard as a company on our interdependencies. So actually, even as a husband and wife team, and I'm giving you a little insight as to what it's like, and you can go check this with our staff, there's no kind of stand-up rows in the office or anything like that. It's all very much done on a professional basis across our teams and how we interact. So we set those rules of engagement many years ago, and I think that's part of our success in terms of working together.
Brilliant. Yeah, no, it's fascinating to see it from the outside and then, learn a bit more. But I've got a few questions for you, Yvonne, which I'll kind of answer in a bit. But before I do, I just want to remind people that we will do a Q&A at the end. So if you do have any questions for myself or Yvonne, please do leave them in the Q&A function. And my colleague, Georgina, will be helping us later on that. But before I go into the questions, I want to talk about Babybel. So obviously some people may be like, why is Babybel got anything to do with this webinar? But Yvonne, do you want to tell people a bit more about what you've recently kind of announced?
Yeah, so we've been working on this project with Bell for a long time. It feels, you know, such a long time ago since we started the discussions and the idea and what we could do. So actually we've worked with Bell and we have the exclusivity across the UK in terms of the Bell products being combined with fruit. So we've just launched a product which is actually under 100 calories. So it fits the kind of healthy snack market, but is a really great option for kids, where we've got apples, grapes and cheese together. And that's all for under for a pound. So effectively a really affordable snack on the go option. So that's been launched into 2 retail chains. You can get that in Tesco and Spar as it stands at the moment, but hopefully we'll be talking to people about more distribution. But actually really exciting step forward for us into that market, and really suits our business in terms of the marketing dynamics that run through our veins. So it's very much a marketing driven product. And so, I'm really excited. The sales going really well. We're seeing incrementals week on week, and really pleased about that. And I think both ourselves and Belle are really excited about what the future looks like in terms of that product. So, so that's what we've, a little aside actually to what we've been doing. So who'd have known, hey? Awesome.
Well, I'm definitely a fan of Babybels back in the day, and I'm sure children nowadays will be kind of loving the combo as well. You touched on one of the aspects there around marketing, and it's definitely something I want to speak to you on. I just want to kind of put a pin in that, because I know you as an organization and you yourself really focus on the marketing aspects of everything you do. So definitely want to touch on that. But before we do, obviously digitalization is a big topic for businesses right now, and especially with obviously what's going on in the wider world with COVID, and people being able to kind of go around the world a bit less and visit places. So can you tell me a bit more about, obviously in your role, how you see digitalization, and especially kind of what it means to you as a business, and what it can bring to you kind of outside of kind of the normal things that people would already see?
Well, I think for us, if we start with the basics of agriculture is a science. So effectively anything scientific is born of data. So it's about looking at that data in a manageable way. So for us, farming with data, understanding data and moving that through our business is really, really important. So we've invested heavily, not only in tech at supply chain level, but at all levels of our business to digitalize what we do. And I think, when you look at the trends of other industries, you're seeing that happening everywhere. And, I think probably we were heavily criticized that, these things will never catch on, but of course they do. And so, it's a number of years now, we went paperless. And everybody was like, you'll never achieve it. Everybody talks about it. You won't do it. We just removed the cupboards from the office. And so nobody could put any paper anywhere. And we've got a league table on printing now, and nobody prints. So because they don't want to lose the league table. So actually, the reality is you can change human behavior to support the direction of your business. And I think data for us has become really important, and obviously tech is part of that. The two go hand in hand. And I think, what we've tried to do, particularly in the growing regions we work in, which are probably less advanced than other areas of the world. And I think that's sort of the best way to describe it. We've brought to those areas a form of tech and a different way of working that actually offers our farms and our business, but also our growers, transparency. And I think, that's all we want, really.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that word transparency is really, really key, because we see it working with our clients and, and with you guys as well, where, you want transparency with the growers, but also what kind of the collection of data in a system or in one place can also provide you transparency to your end customers, be it potentially Babybel, be it kind of, Tesco's, etc. How do you see that kind of evolving, and how do you see kind of that sharing of data to your end customers kind of evolving as well?
Well, I think, historically that sharing of data has been a kind of push down scenario where we've had our customers pushing down the enforcement of that transparency. You will give us that data. You will give us the access to understanding what you're doing. I think what we've tried to embrace is actually say, well, we're going to do it anyway, right? It's going to happen. So rather than actually, fighting against that, let's go with the flow. And let's use it to our advantage, because actually there's value in this. And that needs to flow back and forth. It can't be a one-way street. And also, I think what we've created within our business model is the ability to take the smaller grower on that journey. So that, some of our growers in India are like 0.5 of an acre, but yet they're supplying into major retailers. So, and that's about transparency of the retailer feeling comfortable that the supply chain's in control, and then actually the grower feeling comfortable that his income from half an acre, which is incredibly precious to his family, is being looked after. And it's as simple as that, really. That's how we view it.
I really like what you said there about kind of, it's a two-way street, and it seems that you kind of, taking the lead a bit with your customers and going, look, this is what we're doing. This is, you don't need to encourage us to do it because we see value of doing it within our business already. And I guess that mindset kind of transfers into kind of, growth opportunities. And obviously I mentioned at the start that you've been recognized in two, for me, of the kind of the more leading kind of publications, both from a, UK perspective with the Sunday Times, fast track list, but also with the FPJ from a more fresh produce perspective. You being recognized for that, what would you put that down to? Is that the growth mindset you have as a business, or what else could you put that down to, do you think?
I think it's a growth mindset. I think we're reading the market all the time, and we're adapting as to where we're going and what we're doing. And I think we've always had Mark and I are agriculturalists, so that's never left us. So originally Jupiter was a trading business, which was less about agriculture and more about obviously just the profit margin on the product. And I think as when we started that journey, hand on heart, we perhaps didn't envisage that it would end up where it's ended up. I don't think anybody fully knows that, but we did have a passion for getting back to our roots. And I think, whether you're a grape farmer, a citrus farmer, a beef farmer, an arable farmer, the reality is your values at the bottom of it are exactly the same. And it doesn't matter which country of the world you come from. So, we could be sat around my mum and dad's table having the same conversation as I do with growers, in South Africa or India or even, Chile or Greece. So for us, I think that journey has been about, let's get back to our roots. Let's do what we're good at. We've seen a trend in the market where they're going more direct to source. We're very conscious of that. And so actually let's go on that journey and, see what we can do. And I think being a commercial company in the first place, and we've done it completely the wrong way around, completely not how it's done in a textbook, but actually has probably helped us on that journey because we've got a little bit more understanding of what it's like further down the food chain.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that, that growth mindset and that kind of seeing it, the opportunities and going with the flow sometimes, because if the industry is going in one direction, sometimes you've got to go with, is really important. But one thing I see from the outside, if you don't mind me saying, is one place where I don't think I see you going with the flow and you kind of push the boundaries a bit more is what you do on the marketing side of things. And for me, I love marketing. I love kind of pushing the envelope a bit. I like trying things out. And I've seen you as an organization, especially in the fresh produce space, push the envelope a bit. You try things out, and also you put content out there. Why is that so important for you? And especially in your role, kind of leading that with Kirsty?
So I think, first of all, I would say, marketing is I'm also passionate about it, Giles. So it's, for me, it's something that is at the heart of what we do, and it always has been. I think I look at marketing as a science. So I think it complements agriculture. I don't think it's the fluffy kind of bells and whistles that it's given, that a lot of people would think about. And you think about the types of marketing and the infrastructure that we've created. Again, it's about data. So it comes back to the data: who's buying what, where, who's interested, what type of person, where are they from, what are they doing? How can we do that in a COVID-related world that we can't travel anywhere? Well, actually, marketing's really key to that success. And I think that's, for me, why it's really important. It underpins all of our activity. But importantly, it underpins our behavior as a team, because actually what we put out there, we've got to live by. And I quite like that as a manager. So I quite like to be able to say, well, is that where we're going? Is that what we're doing? Is that on brand?
Yeah.
Because actually that's what we're creating. If people want to buy from Jupiter, they're believing in a brand. And that's ultimately, whether it's a grower who wants to supply to us or it's a retailer that wants to buy from us, we're a brand. We've got a set of behaviours we need to deliver, and marketing is absolutely pivotal to how we do that.
Yeah, I completely agree with what you said there. And what also kind of, I think you mentioned it, is it creates like a common purpose for the team. You know, everybody kind of can be aligned under, you know, your mission. Your mission comes across in what you market and how you market. And obviously in your role, kind of, you said kind of you look more internally, kind of the day-to-day operations of the business, while Mark focusing on the commercial side. Obviously, you know, it's been a challenge for everybody over the last few years now. What kind of things that you've seen kind of work well, and what kind of the things that maybe you will take forward, kind of going on post-COVID and post-May relaxations coming in terms of kind of the day-to-day operations with everybody working from home? Is there anything that you said, well, that's worked really well, let's maybe continue with that?
Yeah, I think it's been a challenge, because obviously I don't think there's a business that hasn't had to adapt in some way. So, you know, we're not perfect. We didn't plan for a global pandemic, but we've probably adapted pretty well. And I think technology has really helped with that. So KisanHub puts us in touch with the grower, so we can see what's applied on the farm. We know what's happening. We know what the weather's doing. We know all of the things we need to know to be able to support the grower. And so that's been invaluable to us. And having that technology in place through this environment just shows actually it can work. Yeah. Because we did it before and we were using that data, but now we were really using it. Where are we going to go with that? So that I think is important. I think for me, some things that I will take out of this, I think mental health is something that actually, coming out of COVID, we're really aware of. We've actually seen within, our own team, people working from home, how it can affect their psyche, their enthusiasm, their energy, even their commitment at points. Yeah. And I think that actually, as human beings, we crave the company of other human beings. So working in the office or an environment where you can reach out to people is really important. And so we've created a buddy group system throughout our business so that everybody's got a buddy they can reach out to, if it's, work related, not work related, but actually they get to know a friend or colleague across the business. So, your buddy, my buddy's based in Finland, for example. So, but actually then that becomes quite important. Sorry, I can't plan for the phone ringing.
Don't worry, you're busy. I'm sure it's,
So it will disappear. But I think the other thing is actually what we've worked really, really hard on is communication and trust. So we couldn't travel, obviously, during, like everybody, we couldn't travel, but yet actually that was a really important part of what we did previously. So we've had to communicate and trust our teams globally to do the right thing. And do you know what? It's just amazing, the power of trust. So we've really, really worked on that, worked on our culture, worked on our behaviours with each other, because actually we can't get frustrated by something because we don't know.
Yeah.
So actually we've got to rely on another person to help us. So building those relationships become key and important. And I think those are the types of things for me that will continue out of this. We'll continue to keep that build, continue to understand our interdependencies as teams with each other, because they move and change depending on the season, depending on the time of year, depending on what has happened. Even with something like the Bell launch, actually getting that communication out to our employees so that they've got something to be proud of is really, really important. They're part of that journey. They're part of Jupiter's success. So it's all those little things that we're really kind of bolstering as we go on this COVID related journey.
Yeah.
Who knows where it'll end? Hey?
Who knows? Who knows? But yeah, I think some of the points there I've definitely seen myself as well, in terms of, you know, making sure you kind of focus on the relationship side, focus on the kind of the mental health of everybody, and keep the communication up. So I think one of the things I probably did take for granted, similar to probably lots of businesses, those little conversations you just have when you're in the office. That kind of how was your weekend, or, you know, did you watch, you know, Line of Duty last night? You know, those kind of conversations, which it's just so good to have that general chat, because I know when everybody's working very hard, and everybody's worked very hard from home, you don't have those little breaks, those little kind of, you know, your mind can just kind of go off into kind of a bit of nonsense for a bit. So I totally agree with you there, and some of that all businesses really need to focus on as well. So before I open it up to Georgie and bring Georgie in, there's one more thing. So, all right, get your crystal ball out. 5 years time, what's going on in the industry? What do you think the big movements will be? Where do you think, you've already mentioned maybe more direct, bringing the consumers closer to the growers, and kind of going more direct. What are the big innovations do you see in the next 5 years?
Well, I think there's sort of a number of areas that I think agriculture per se is going to change, and I think we're starting to see that in certain areas of agriculture, but I think within the fruit industry we're starting to perhaps wake up to understand how technology can perhaps help us more. And I think historically, where we've looked at tech as being how can we pick the fruit from the trees or reduce labor or whatever, actually the tech's happening in a different way. So I think, you know, the introduction of drone technology and how we use that to collate data to understand. So we've got a trial at the moment. We work with a company just looking at the condition of our trees, but doing that from height so that we can understand the exact height of the tree enables us then to program what spray usage we put on it. So we can save anywhere between 10 and 15% on our spray costs just by understanding the height of the tree, because you don't need to spray all of the tree. So it's all of those kind of elements to us that become important. And then I think the other thing is actually what I describe as live technology. So, you know, pieces of technology that actually learn as they go along, using AI to actually do a better job next time. So, for example, the packing of our oranges on the farm in Maswiri, the machine learns every single time an orange passes through it. So what was quite interesting, the machine went live for our orange season last year. So the orange data we had from last season transferred over to this season. But it was the first time we packed the lemons and grapefruits. And actually the difference in the understanding of the machine is incredible, just from actually having that additional year's data set. So if you can imagine over the next 5 years how accurate that's going to be in terms of understanding the fruit size, the quality, the skin thickness, all of the things that our customers want, it just means we're going to get more and more accurate. And if we get more and more accurate, then actually we're going to increase ours and our growers' return. So that's for us really, really important. I think one of the challenges over the next 5 years, if we're to actually develop within technology the way we want to, is actually the data infrastructure. So actually our internet, our communication, you know, we need that infrastructure to move at the same pace. And I think that'll be the one challenge that globally we face. So, you know, obviously we've got our farms in a very, very remote part of South Africa, and our growers in India are in very, very remote parts of India. So it's just making sure we've got that connectivity to be able to use the technology in a way that interfaces really, really easily with what we're doing and at the speed we want. Because I think that's the other challenge. It's just going to get quicker and quicker and quicker. So, you know, join the ride and get on it, because actually, you know, at some point it'll be going so quick. Who knows what it'll look like.
Yeah, I think what you said there at the end, the realities of actually what's going on the ground. I think sometimes, you know, as entrepreneurs and people involved in technology, you know, we're everybody creates great solutions, and then the rubber hits the road and people start using it on the ground. They go, well, hold on, this is all great, but I don't have this, how am I supposed to get access to it? So I think those realities are so important. That's why it's always important for people like on my side to work closely with organizations like you guys to understand what the realities are and then try and implement and get around them. Well, that's been fantastic. I think I've actually gone over by 5 minutes, so I'm going to bring Georgie in because I'm sure she'll have a few questions from the audience. So Georgie, what do you have for us?
Hi, yes, thank you, everyone. So we've got a few questions, and I think we might run over. So anything that we haven't answered, I'll include in the email circulated with the recording, and so we will answer them. But the first one that we've had is, what has the response been from your customers when using new technology? Yvonne, over to you.
I think really, really responsive. I think anything that's bringing more transparency to the supply chain and to help them, I think is going to be welcome. And I think, I think clearly, depending on who it is and their understanding of what it is we're doing, obviously differs from person to person. But actually, it's also then making sure we break down the technology in a way that is simplistic so they understand as well. So that's where the marketing comes into play. That's, telling the story in a very simplistic manner is really important. But I think, really, really responsive, very interested in the next things that we're doing. So definitely on the journey with us.
Nice, brilliant. Thank you ever so much. And Giles, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, I think from my side, because I see it from a kind of a number of different businesses that we work with. I think, that relationship and being able to be kind of transparent and provide the information to show that what you're doing is ahead of the game and you're leading in the industry is really important, because if you can keep your customers happy, you can win more contracts and grow your business. And I think that's definitely something that we're seeing from our side is how do we help our clients give their end customers that extra value and an extra kind of information. So I totally agree, and it's very exciting times.
Brilliant, thank you ever so much. So we're going to have probably time for just one more question from the audience. So it's quite long, so please refer to it in the chat from the panelists. So do you feel the way that you've operated during COVID-19 has demonstrated that remote crop monitoring via technology can help replace physical site visits and travel, thereby reduce emissions associated with food procurement? That's a really good question.
It's a good question, and it's a really easy answer. The answer is yes. Absolutely. Genuinely, and I actually agree with the less travel. I think making a sustainable world in the way we do that and using the technology to create that transparency has definitely helped. I think the other thing is, there's not a grower in the world wakes up in a morning and thinks I'm going to do something wrong, because each of them are very proud of what they do. So actually using the technology for them to be proud of what they do is the right way to go. And that's just about human nature and trust. And we've all got to get better at it. And I think that's what COVID has taught us.
I'd agree with that. Thank you ever so much, Yvonne. And same question to you, Giles.
Well, I think, yes, as well. I think one of the things, again, seeing it from our perspective, I don't think it's, well, at least for the next kind of few years, it's never going to fully replace kind of obviously what's going on with kind of in-person visits. But I think supplementing, the use of technology to help kind of reduce those visits down and to provide kind of that, more kind of full year view is something that I definitely think technology and kind of remote monitoring can do. But then at the end of the day, I come from a farming background, and it's, as Yvonne said, it's the people on the ground who are going to make those decisions and those applications. So, again, they know what's best some of the time, but how can we help them with remote monitoring? I think that's what's really key. And as Yvonne also mentioned, we've got to think more about kind of how kind of travel affects kind of, the wider world in terms of kind of, CO2 emissions from traveling on planes and cars and so on. And the more we can do to reduce those down, the more we can do, as Yvonne mentioned, to reduce paper usage, I think the better the world will be. So definitely looking forward to seeing that kind of happen more over the next few years.
Brilliant. Thank you ever so much. And just a fun question to finish on. Yvonne, what is your favourite fruit? I'm so intrigued.
So at this point, my teams, because I did get the heads up on this question, Georgie, I'm going to be really honest. So we had a conversation in the office. So I've been dared to get into the phrase. I'm going to say kiwi because it's a moderately sized hairy ball. So that was my dare done, right? So I'm going to tick the box that I've put over the line. What I'm actually going to say, and it's probably, you're going to say this is probably a predictable answer. But actually, I've been on a journey because I'm a beef farmer's daughter. So I didn't go into this thinking, wow, I want to be in the fresh produce industry. I love cows. So I was in a very different world for a lot of my career. And actually, what's been really interesting for me is the journey of understanding new varieties of grapes. And I've been really fortunate to taste some of the most amazing grapes. So my favourite two varieties are actually Ara 32 and Malin grape. So I've actually become a grape snob, if that is a thing. So for me, that's the kind of that, I hope that over time we can educate the consumer on how special some of these varieties are. There's some amazing breeding work being done, and I feel really privileged to be part of that work going forward. So there you go. My team dared me, so I've nailed it.
Yeah, well done. Hats off to you. And just to wrap up, Giles, your favourite fruit and any final words, please?
Yeah, so great to hear the kiwi come in as well. I love that, Yvonne, and well done to your team. I got to be a bit boring again and go. Got to be the classic orange for me. Especially from South Africa, if possible, Yvonne. If you can help me with that, yeah. But
I know a great farm where you can get some great oranges. So yeah, it's not a problem. We can send some your way.
Awesome. And I'd just like to say a big thank you to Yvonne. I think it's great to hear it from people like Yvonne who are kind of leading in the sector. As I mentioned, they've been building their business up and they're kind of seeing the accolades coming in, and there's a lot more to come from them, for sure, and that's being shown by the new tie-up with the Bell Group, and I'm looking forward to seeing what else is coming in the future as well. So big thank you to you, Yvonne, and thank you for everybody for attending. Hope you have a great weekend, and I hope to see you all soon.
Awesome. Thank you, Giles. Thank you, Georgie.
You're welcome. Bye.
Bye.